event. That's right, this is Revolution Radio, and we are fully self supported through the generous contributions of you, the listener. That's right. And if you like what you hear here, then please mosey on over to freedomslips.com and make a donation. Whatever you can afford to be great. And at certain levels, you even get a return gift on top of all the great broadcasters that you can find right here at Revolution Radio. A cornucopia, ladies and gentlemen, unparalleled anywhere else. This niche inside the square wave is analog, man. We got analog signal going on right here, right now. I might not be Mr. Right, but I'm definitely Mr. Right now. And it is, what do we got? We got about 30 minutes before the break. Great. So, Mr. Rowe was talking about the digital from analog back into digital. And so I thought it was really interesting. You know, we all got sold a bill of goods about, turning in our stereo systems and our turntables and our needles and our amplifiers and our tubes for, the CD that was supposedly indestructible. It's not indestructible. I think a vinyl album might actually be more indestructible than a CD, but I don't know. I've never done the actual Pepsi challenge on that, but we will see. Maybe we'll do that. We'll do the Pepsi challenge with the CD against the vinyl and see who comes out. Yeah, there's distortion. And plus, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you're not even getting to hear. That's just getting chopped right. It's just getting chopped right off. Excuse me. Pardon me. Pardon me. My name's Jimmy, and I'm right here on Revolution Radio. Come on over the chat room. And there's a whole bunch of people over there in the chat skis. Let's see who's in there. Wave Dave, HVB's in there, Pat's in there, Wall E, Jerry, Tatanka, Dave. Hey, Tatanka, does Tatanka mean it's a good day to die? I'm curious. Blasphemous Buddha's in there, Batsman, Saul, Rosenberg, what's going on? A Mad Painter's in there, Monster, SJ, Omega Logos, Sandy M, VHK, Popsicle Toes is in there. Yeah, you remember the taper section? Exactly. Well, Mr. Rowe, we had done, my co-host and I we did a whole series we started off with the Grateful Dead and the sound system that was built by Stanford engineers to create a standing wave. Pretty interesting stuff. I mean, especially too when you look into the overall aspects of the entrainment process and the brain tuning to the dominant signals, and then you look at it and see that there were people that literally followed the Dead all over the world. And I'm not saying that's bad. I mean, I'm not saying anything's wrong with the Dead. But what I am saying is there is absolutely no question that there was government or agency involvement in the technology behind the Grateful Dead's wall of sound and the aspects of using frequency for entrainment and mind control. And, of course, they were also working with LSD at the time. Same thing, same interesting correlation between, these ether worlds or these other worlds or these spaces in between, the not either here nor there, not a 1 or a 0, the space between, not 1, not 0, not up, not down, the cavitation point where it's just this point of everything existing, past, present, future, all in that single moment. So the most important thing for anybody who's trying to control the human being or the human node or the body node here, the input device. We're here with this input device taking in. When you think about all the processes that go on in the human body with the hairs on your arms and legs and your skin, and how everything is a sensor, and your spine is an antenna, right? And your dome is your node. And your frequency is being put out based on your DNA structure and how you're vibrating with the frequencies of the earth. In other words, the higher your attunement is, or your harmonization is with the frequencies of the earth, the more intense and clear your energy pattern becomes. So that, while you're rising up in your frequency, you're also rising up in consciousness. So as to say that a lower frequency or a lower aspect of consciousness would be the drum, the rhythmic, repetitive beating of a drum with guttural chantings and dancings around fires, to the point of ecstasy, is a lower frequency than, say, Russian Orthodox Church liturgy with people sing. The architecture in the cathedral the cathedral system in Europe is specifically designed so that the acoustical properties inside, in conjunction with harmonious tonals coming from a group, opens up Jacob's Ladder, or the stairway to heaven. And this is what the architecture, the sacred architecture is. It's the knowledge of the ability to reflect sound and vibration inside of a structure in order to achieve a result with a desired tonal repetitive frequency that comes from a group of people. For example, if you notice, when people in the pews of a church are singing, and there's a priest a Catholic priest on the pedestal, he's wearing a black robe, and he's got a white area right in his throat chakra. So what he's doing with the black is he's absorbing the energetic of the room in front of him that are chanting or repeating ritualized language. He absorbs that energy, and then when he speaks, he throws out the energy from his throat chakra back into the group. My name's Jimmy. It's Revolution Radio. And we're just hanging on a Thursday night, getting ready for the weekend. It's Thirsty Thursday, and let me tell you something, I am thirsty right now. Gotta lean over and grab my coffee cup. Stand by. Excuse me. And right here on Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, like I was saying, /chat is the interactive chat room. You can come on over. You can get into conversation. It's a great conversation, and the chat room is always lively. And I think there might even be a twerk contest going on in there right now. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have my glasses on. Never mind. That's just someone taking out the trash. All right. There we go. Got my got my glasses back on. Yeah, so I mean the world is absolutely going out of its mind at this point. So it's a good time to try to get in touch with one's own tonal qualities. Trying to, find some way to protect yourself from all the energies that are flying around. I mean, that's really why it's so important for these seductive characters or these propaganda artists to capture your imagination and distract you from any type of uh, uh, ability for yourself to have a few moments of peace where you could think for a minute. It's hard to think when you have to make all these major decisions at a moment's notice, because now you can be sought out and reached out to no matter where you are, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Somebody could call you, somebody could text you, da 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 da. So there's really no time for anybody to really get any peace at this point. So how can anyone solve a problem for themselves, or how can anyone solve problems for humanity when they can't even solve their own problems because they're too worried about all the things that are going on? It's so much. There's so much noise. The noise floor is high, and the signal is lost. The true signal, and that's the signal that I try to seek out as much as I can. So I go to the beach. You hang out on the sand. You're there. The waves. Everything that goes on there. Everything that goes on is important. It's all the little things that we really don't even think about that are super important. Like I was saying, it's like the hairs on your arms, your epidermis. Like, for example, one thing that I do for myself that's really good is I can go down and I buy Epsom salt baths over at some, pick a drugstore. You can get buy the no name brand with no scent. Get yourself some Epsom salts. Take an Epsom salt bath. Sit there and soak in some magnesium and watch what happens. The human body needs magnesium in a big way, and we don't get enough of it. It's based on, just direction that we've gotten from all these different characters, these players that have popped up with these white coats and stethoscopes and these clipboards telling us that cholesterol is bad. They're telling us that salt's bad. We don't get the iodine that we used to get iodine, at least from the salt. Now we don't even get that because they told us to quit eating salt. So people quit eating salt, and they got no iodine. Now we're iodine deficient. Everybody's systems are breaking down from these GMO, genetically modified organisms, causing these amino acids to fire inside our body that are not natural. So our organs and our inner system is not able to deal with these amino acids in the proper way. So what happens is we get inflammation, and people are in pain. People are in pain all over the place. There's a lot of inflammation that's going on. So, in these times, it's really hard to find a way to sort of get your swerve on, and get back to the energies that we all need just to survive. Yeah, potassium. What's up, B5? Yeah, hey Benu, Big John. What's going on? Good to see you guys. Yeah, so I just popped in. It's an impromptu chat going on right here, Revolution Radio, and you can join us, like I said, over in the chat. So, yeah, I mean, and there's these black hole type situations, that have seemed to have evolved in the social media, where you get sucked into these paradigms or into these black holes and you can't get out. It's like this gravity pit of sorrow and pain. Listen, I don't know. For me, I am really enjoying living an analog life and getting back to it, like Mr. Rowe pointed out. The square wave is a square, and I like a roundish wave. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I don't like the top cut off of my wave. I like my wave nice and round. That's right, nice and round like Revolution Radio. And, we are fully self supporting through the generous contributions of our listeners. And so, if you have a few bones and you don't mind, you can step on over. $5 a month, that's a great donation. You can make a one time donation. You can pass it around to your friends that might not know about Revolution Radio. Maybe you can let them know, hey, we got something going on over here that's pretty special. I think it's really special here, and I really feel lucky and privileged to be here in the house that the Nighthawk built. What we're talking about tonight is who knows. But right now, what we're doing is talking about energy. And, realistically, don't you think that the vampire is the vampire character? Don't you really, realistically, aren't they not talking, they're not actually meaning that someone actually drank the blood of other people, right? It's really just a metaphor for people sucking your life energy right out of you, right? So it doesn't actually have to be the physical. Not to say that people don't drink blood or people didn't kill people. It's not to say that, Dracul or whatever didn't exist. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is in relation to the energetics and in relation to these vampiric characters that appear in our lives, however they get their energy from you and from me, how they get it, how do they get it from us? There's a million ways they get it. They could make you angry, driving down the freeway and ruin your day, have you thinking about them all day. There's a million ways that people can sap your energy and suck your ability to stay focused and stay centered within yourself. I know that is how it is for me. But, going back to the Bay Area and coming back here, circling back around to the Bay Area to what we were talking about originally which was there was a period of time here, when there was the big music scene was happening here for a period of time. And this really was the center of the universe for a lot of reasons, and it has been for a lot of reasons for a long time. From a technology perspective, from a music perspective, from an ideas perspective. And those same ideas are still prevalent in Silicon Valley today. The same ideas that the hippie movement was talking about are the same kind of ideas that these technocrats have also. Their idea, and then people didn't realize then, because people really didn't have an idea about it. But realistically, when you're talking about living in a commune, living together in a communal situation, what you're talking about is communism, right? So, from an elitist perspective, back in the hippie days in the 60s, it was different, and it was put forward in a different way. And so it caught on. The world really sort of embraced the kind of mentality that were going on there. And for whatever reason, they squashed it. They stopped it. And then these same players are still around today. And so now it's the second wave, and you see this big influx of the word communism, Russia's our enemy, all this. It's not the Soviet Union anymore. It's Russia, a country, a powerful country. Yeah, they got a powerful country because they have a lot of smart people over there. And they've got a lot of technology, and they've got a lot of stuff that they've invented and they put together. And of course, the best thing in the world would be if everybody just got along. But the bottom line is, we can't seem to move into the future, into a brighter future, with this whole situation looming over the top of us, that something's got to happen in order for something to change. Because the amount of money that it costs to change over an entire planet over to a new way of thinking is literally unfathomable, and especially if you're the person making the money off the way things are right now. You know what I mean? So if you're the one making money off gas at the gas station or the oil, then you're not going to be in that big of a hurry to make cars run on salt water. You know what I'm saying? So, but the thing is like, in order for that to happen, a bunch of stuff has to change. And in order for that change to happen, there'd have to be a collective consciousness where everybody would come together and say, let's make that change. But that doesn't appear like it's going to happen that way. It looks like the only way the change can happen is if everything that exists now gets destroyed, and then you can build something out of what's left of what was left of it. Because the bottom line is, all these people that are running around tearing stuff down, most of them didn't build any of it. People just sitting around living off the glories of the other people that have come before them. All the hard work, people did all the whole. People that built the roads, built the railroads, put up the telephone poles, ran the power lines. People that drug those cables across under the ocean so everybody could have telephones. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of people thrown down and put down a lot of hard work, man. They put their whole lives into it and just died off, And now you got a bunch of people sitting around, got it so good, and they don't really realize how much it took to get there. People don't, if you had to, I'm just saying, I'm not a vegetarian, but I'm just saying, if you had to actually go out, grab the chicken out of the coop, chop its head off, pull its feathers out, and cook it on the stove, would you want to eat that chicken? I'm just saying, because we have all the harsh aspects of something like that are all taken out of it by going to the store. There's some whole other thing going on because we choose to ignore it. But that's just like society, right? We choose to ignore what goes on with those chickens so that we could just go to the store and pick up a package of chicken and walk out. Chicken breasts or whatever. There's kids that, I don't know this personally, but I've heard tale of children that don't even know that hamburger comes from a cow. It's just this stuff that you buy at the store. So that we want to ignore or pretend like the things that we do that are not necessarily the best things, try to pretend like they don't exist. So like, if we don't look at it, it doesn't exist, right? Mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. So, the thing is, on the one hand, you can't have people on the one hand being upset about what happens to animals, and then on the other hand, they go down and get themselves a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Oh, wait a minute. It's not they don't call it chicken anymore. That's right. It's called KFC. Because I think it's something called PFK 1138, or these footless and beakless chickens that supposedly they have, that are these genetically modified chickens that don't have any of those pesky feet that they got to chop off or whatever. They can just throw the whole thing right in the grinder or whatever and make some tacos. My name's Jimmy. I'm making tacos right here on Revolution Radio. Steaming on through the night, man, like there's no tomorrow. And who knows, maybe there won't be. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so what are we gonna do? There's a lot of solutions. There are a lot of solutions, and realistically, there's not one reason why any single one of us could not apply these solutions in our own homes anytime we want to. We can decide whatever, how we're going to do it. There's a million really cool alternative ways that people have come up with, really ingenious ways to accomplish certain, things that we need to live, that we require. You like hot water. You like flicking on the light, and see, having the light turn on. You like watching your movies or whatever. So, if you can generate hot water and you can generate electricity through, a couple of different methods on your own, and you could put yourself together some sort of an aquaponic scenario or you maybe have a dome style greenhouse that you just have it set up like really super nice with the where the fish are in there. I mean, you can grow a full grown tilapia in like it's a super short amount of time. I mean, obviously it's not a closed system. You got to feed the fish something. But there's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, duckweed is good. There's a lot of ways you can do this, and it's very. I mean, seriously. I mean, you could live off this clean food that you grow right in your own aquaponic scenario, and it really doesn't take all that much water. The water's recycled. It's runs. You know, the fish water runs through the plants. The plants suck the nutrients out of the fish waste. Reoxygenate the water. The water goes down into the back into the fish. They get the fresh water, and the plants grow super nice, super clean. And also, it's an oxygenated place for you to go chill. Also, it's really cool. It doesn't really take up that much space. I mean, there's a lot of super cool vertical garden designs people have come up with where you don't actually have to eat the fish. I mean, you can just have like a fish tank and then just have some goldfish in there and then just run the water up to a top of some soda bottles. You cut the tops out or cut the bottoms out the soda bottles, turn them upside down, and then just pump the water up to the top and then run it through, and it dribbles down through all the soda bottles until it gets back down in the tank again, and it comes out super filtered, super clean. We got about 5 minutes before the break. Tomorrow night the show's going to be on. It's going to be on 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock a.m. on the East Coast. Monday, John Brisson is going to be joining me, I think. I think so. I'm not sure. I'm going to be visiting Billy Ray Valentine over on the Infinite Fringe on Sunday, I think. He's got a guest coming in. I'm going to go sit in with him. What else we got going on? I don't want to give away the show for tomorrow night, but we got a good one planned. So if you got nothing going on, stop on by and definitely check it out. If you do have something going on, don't fear, don't worry. We got your back. We got archives right over there. See them? Check that out. Look at those archives. Look at them shiny archives right there. Look at them. Look at them. That's right. You can get those too, and all you got to do is become a member. And guess what? It's the 24th. The Rent Man is going to be red-assed in about 3 days. I don't know what's going on. I saw him out there this morning. He was looking over the gutter system. I think he was just being around just in case it was we happen to have the rent over there. So don't forget, the Rent Man is coming, and he gets red-assed. And the last thing you want is a red-assed Rent Man. My name's Jimmy. I'm trying to keep the red-assed Rent Man from coming at me sideways. Of course I remember Spoon Man. Don't even have to ask that question. Bob Marley, one up. That's right. Hey, when we come back, I will bring in some other material because I just jumped in here right away. I didn't have time to grab a few things that I wanted to grab on my way in. I left them in the green room next to the bong ski. So what I'll do is on the break, I will pop out. I will go back to the green room. I will run like the wind and I will run like the wind, and I will move like a cat. You know what I'm saying? And then I will be right back. So don't forget some great shows here on the network. Stay tuned. I don't know what's coming up next, but whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be worth your while because, people that come on late night style, they usually got some stuff to say. They just like to hang at night because it's nice and quiet. So like right now, I'm right up in here in the Santa Cruz Mountains. It's the 24th of October. Halloween is almost here. And Halloween's always a special time in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Because let me tell you something, when you're in the redwoods and then you're in those trees and you're in there and it's dark, it is pitch black, man. You cannot see a hand in front of your face. So make sure you always bring a flashlight, a candle, a pack of matches, something, because you don't want to be caught out there in the dark. Oh, the round tables are coming up. The neon nights of the round tables tonight. I don't know who's going to be on there. Pat will let me know on the break. But it's the neon nights, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to step lively at the round table. I'm thinking we're on the break soon here. I can't see my clock, but it looks like it says it's time. So I'm going to say it's time as well. Let me see what we can do here. Let's do this. And we'll go on out.
You could be another face that I forget as soon as I move along. Everybody makes mistakes, and my mistake for the way I carry on. You could show a little grace, but maybe things just went a bit too far. We are just who we are. No time for what if, so what if not? Heavy as a setting sun. Oh, I'm counting all the numbers between 0 and 1.
Sorry about that, YouTube. I forgot you were there. Hang on. So now you gotta listen to me go, hang on, hang on. Okay, hold on. I'm just kidding. Alright, hold on. Hang on. There we go. Dreams of the Silicon Valley. That's right. Gonna break off some Silicon Valley shit. Hold on. Here we go. Hold on. Shut up. There we go. Alright, you guys. I don't know if you're over there on YouTube. If you are, it's okay. I don't mind. Hold on. It's mind over matter. This fucker won't play, though, and that pisses me off.
And there's a certain school of thought that says that it comes at a certain complexity level, right? And the fact that you have so many neurons interconnected in such a complex way, a consciousness gradually emerges from that. It's not even like a switch is flipped where you can say like 1, yes, this person is conscious, or 0, no, this person is not conscious. But it's more just something that emerges like a flower blossoming, you know, as your brain becomes more complex. And I take a look at how
I get the impression that the forces that will shape our society are very much rooted in Silicon Valley.
All right, here we go.
Themselves so they can find each other. We want people to engage in complex collaborative consumption. Great. And I think this is a really important distinction.
All right, here we go. So what, I got a minute before I gotta go back over there. So stand by, everybody. If you're over on YouTube, I don't know if you are. I gotta go dig some music up. Alright. Here we go. Let's see here. Oh, fuck. Dropped it. I missed it. Alright, here we go. Hold on. Here we go. Bob boom. Oh, fuck. I'm so sorry, you guys. Forgot you were on there. Hang on. It's all too much. That's right. It's Confunction. My name's Jimmy. Thursday night, hour number 2 for the next 60 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. I will be your friendly host right here on Revolution Radio because I am knee-deep in the revolution. And what would a revolution be, ladies and gentlemen, without a little dreams of the Silicon Valley, cybertopia. That's right. I'm going to get into cybertopia, and I'm going to do it right now.
Kit. So these were these, do it again. This is a do-it-yourself. If you think of Heathkit.
Stuart Brand aimed it at the communes. He really wanted to create a guide to tools that you would need to live well on the land as you headed back. The interesting thing that he did, though, was he created a space for people to write into the catalog and to recommend products that other people might not get to know. And what that did was that created a map inside the catalog of the commune world. And then you start to see the map of the whole.
Stewart and his team put out several issues of the Whole Earth catalog, and then, when it had run its course, they put out a final issue. It was the mid-1970s, and I was your age. On the back cover of their final issue was a photograph of an early morning country road, the kind you might find yourself hitchhiking on if you were so adventurous. Beneath it were the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." It was their farewell message as they signed off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. I wish that for you.
I was just amazed at driving around the Google campus and the Apple campus. Like they don't want to become physical, they don't want to show any power, they don't
want to become public. I think this is a really important distinction. Like the commune builders of the 1960s, they don't believe that there's a general public space that they should be serving in that sense, I don't think. You know, in the communes of the 1960s, people wanted to gather together with others like themselves and build a model world. They didn't want to build a model world with many, many others. They wanted to build a model world that would be a model for others to do in their own space. You know, Google, Apple, they want to build their world. You're welcome to build yours. Feel free. You can be an entrepreneur. The idea of promoting a public good in the way that we might have understood the public in earlier generations, it's not there. You know, we want to provide complex consumer services. We want people to connect to one another on a one-to-one basis. We want to make Facebook. We want to help people brand themselves so they can find each other. We want people to engage in complex collaborative consumption. Great. You know, the public, well, what's that? You know, people will take care of themselves.
I get the impression that the forces that will shape our society are very much rooted in Silicon Valley.
I think Silicon Valley has an important role to play, you know. I think that there's been some interesting articles of late that have talked about the emergence of consciousness, right? Where does it come from? And there's a bunch of thought here that says...
What do you mean by the emergence of consciousness?
What kind of systems can be made conscious, can be sentient, right? And why is it that humans are conscious? Why are we sentient? You know, what is it about the arrangement of our neurons? And there's a certain school of thought that says that it comes at a certain complexity level, right? And the fact that you have so many neurons interconnected in such a complex way, a consciousness gradually emerges from that. It's not even like a switch is flipped where you can say like 1, yes, this person is conscious, or 0, no, this person is not conscious. But it's more just something that emerges like a flower blossoming, you know, as your brain becomes more complex. And I take a look at how computers have got, in computer networks.
Computer networks, oh no. Computer networks, oh no. Something's going on here. Something's wrong in America, ladies and gentlemen. When my video that I'm playing all of a sudden
have gotten more
sudden goes wild and you bore us.
Right. And I think you start asking some interesting questions.
What is going on with this? I guarantee you I'm guarantee you this is on Chrome. Or Chrome's open. Watch, I kill Chrome, everything goes good. Watch. Chrome absorbs.
Questions like, you know, is the internet sentient? What happens when you search Google? Right. And this is actually an interesting question to get into philosophically, because you're a human who's got a query, and you're typing into your computer your query, and you get back some answers. And the answers that you get back, well, they're from a computer, right? Because they're from Google's algorithms. But all of what you're seeing was actually put in by humans. Right? So the actual content that you're consuming was by humans. So I think the right way to look at it is not humans versus computers, but instead it's this synthesized intelligence, this Borg, as it were. That is a synthesized intelligence of what computers are good at and what humans are good at working together, right? And that collectively together, that creature is sentient. So if you were a neuron in a brain, would you know that the brain was sentient? Right? If you're part of a sentient being, are you aware of that being's sentience? There is this system of people and of computers that works together to form its own mind that is by definition smarter than us, that we are participating in right now, that we are already a part of this collective intelligence. Silicon Valley plays a role in helping design those threads that go between the human intelligences and the computer intelligences, right? So we're helping to knit this brain. we're not the brain's designer. It's kind of in many ways designing itself, but we're building this uber species that is humans, that is computers altogether. There's this whole question about the singularity, which I actually think is kind of
It's amazing.
it's kind of silly, right? When will we have a computer?
It's amazing. It really is. My name's Jimmy. When will we have the when will the singularity happen?
Smarter than a human, that can learn, that is self-aware. And my answer to that is we've already hit that point, right? We're already hitting the point where technology is self-accelerating. One of the things that's really neat about Silicon Valley, when you talk to a bunch of the startups here, is that many of the consumers of those startups' technology are other startups, right? And so in some sense, it does create a bit of a bubble, but in another sense, it's a little bit exciting and terrifying to realize that there's so much brain power that's here that's focused on making that brain power more highly leveraged, which in turn is focused on making that brain power more highly leveraged, right? And this just compounding.
This is a feedback.
It's a feedback loop, absolutely. So the kind of tools that we are able to work with today allow an individual designer or product manager or engineer to act as if they were tens of people from 10 years ago, hundreds of people from 20 years ago.
That is key.
Having 193 countries for 7 billion people.
That is key right there, ladies and gentlemen, because that is why we can sit down in front of our computers and just flick a couple of buttons and do what it used to take a bunch of people to do. In other words, you could take a picture with your camera and have it there and then print it out right at your house, whereas you used to have to take the film down to the store, bring it there, give it to the guy. And there's all these people involved in that whole process of you getting your pictures back in your hand, in 1 hour photo or whatever. It's the same kind of concept, or you sit at GarageBand. GarageBand is Pro Tools, only it's made to the point where it just a one click does what it takes an engineer a bunch of moves to make, and he would make those decisions based on his training and his ear. The computer makes those adjustments for you, so you don't even have to be an engineer. My name's Jimmy. We are getting into Cybertopia, dreams of the Silicon Valley, and I think there's some real important stuff going on. And like I say, I don't think the future has to be bad. It's all depending on, getting the imagination captured and focusing all the human nodes, focusing their hive mind on this Armageddon to come, or this destruction. Out of the ashes will rise the phoenix bird or whatever. But listen, it doesn't have to go that route. I mean, we could just,
And try to be building the first city by the end of 2020. Many of the people who are excited about seasetting would consider themselves a futurist. We only have in 193 countries for 7 billion people there's not much choice there. I have more choice in soda than I have in government. But if there are thousands of cities floating at sea, we could find what suits our own personal needs. And when we live in a world that's as diverse as we are, we shouldn't all be, forced into the same hole.
So Peter Thiel dreams of living on a city island outside territorial waters where the laws are written by the investors. Venture capitalist Tim Draper stays closer to home. His suggestion would be to divide California into 6 smaller states, one of which should be the state of Silicon Valley.
This is a 6 Californias tie that
is California.
And by creating 6 Californias, we're creating a competitive environment where the states have to compete for the citizens, and the citizens can choose the states that are best for them.
So what is Silicon Valley on your...
Silicon Valley would be here in yellow.
But from a distance, it feels like...
This is called Jefferson, and that's called North California. Yeah.
But 1967 wrote the famous poem All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace. And that's a utopian vision, a vision in which we live in the natural world, but in a natural world that is monitored and cared for by invisible machinery. I know that that vision animates people here in the valley. You know, the notion of ubiquitous computing came out of that vision. But could they live in that world? Could Peter Thiel lie in the grass, picking flowers while the clouds drifted overhead? I don't think so. Could Mark Zuckerberg? I doubt it.
It's just another day on Earth.
Do you agree that the digital revolution is as dangerous as it is fantastic? Would you like to come to Cybertopia? To the cloud with the uber techies? Or would you rather stay in your old familiar nation state with all its compromises and imperfections? Because how seriously should we take these techno-optimists? They have the knowledge, the networks, and the power to have real influence.
So yeah, it's a little bit of political and it's difficult for me to separate politics and economics. Biggest free market experiment in the world.
When they're out on the playa, they are rehearsing the hyper-individualized but also collectively productive vision of Google engineering, but in a kind of religious sense. I actually think that Burning Man is to contemporary new media production what the Protestant church was in Max Weber's era to the industrial world. You know, in the industrial era, the Protestant church is a place where you go, the executives sit in the front, the workers sit in the back. Now you go to Burning Man, everybody's a worker, everybody's an entrepreneur, everybody's hustling, everybody is working on themselves and their business at the same time. It's a place to rehearse the values on which the valley depends.
It's Burning Man, huh?
This is Burning Man, yeah. So we covered Burning Man along the way.
In our search for the origins of the ideological intentions of Silicon Valley, we visit Louis Rossetto, founder of Wired magazine.
We're going to niche economies and niche warfare. It's like 20 years ago, right? That's exactly what we've gone to. Niche economies and niche warfare.
In San Francisco startte 1,5 jaar geleden het tijdschrift Wired. De spreekbuis van de digitale revolutie.
20 years
This is a brief
ago,
history
we
of being an
visited
age.
the editorial office of the then newly founded Wire magazine in San Francisco. People like Stuart Brand and Kevin Kelly identified the pioneers of the digital revolution, which had just begun at the time.
equity holder in the company, so they share in the upside as well as the risk. They want to learn how to build a business, and someday they want to go build their own business, so that's a big attraction.
O'Connor recently set up Find the Best, an online comparison website which compares all products, businesses, and government services. By offering full transparency, he hopes to expose the existing power structures.
Nice work, you guys. One fast lap around the cars.
What we do at Find the Best is we expose, we tell people how everything relates to everything else. We're big, huge believers in transparency. People don't like exposure. You didn't have that before. And now you can research people, you can find out, okay, where did they work, who are they associated with, who's really behind these movements. We publish a lot of information on the federal government, all their contracts. We publish pension information on salaries for individuals that work in government. We expose for financial advisors. Did they pass their financial tests? What was their work history? I mean, things that were traditionally hidden from individuals, we now expose isn't the right word, but we give them the information so they can make the best informed decision.
So that's almost a political initiative.
It's also capitalistic, right? I mean, capitalism is not about, to me, capitalism is that there is no one perfect product for everybody. There'd be one product. It'd be like Soviet Union, but it is that helping people find what's best for them and exposing bad products. I mean, bad products and bad companies should die. That's why capitalism works. Good companies and good products should thrive. So yeah, it's a little bit of political, and it's difficult for me to separate politics and economics. The internet is this biggest free market experiment, worldwide free market experiment that's going on, that involves both politics and information and commerce. And Rand kind of broke the society down in two parts. There's the makers, people that are actually creating and producing, and then there's the takers, the rent seekers, the people that are taking things that aren't theirs. So that would be sort of the trial lawyers, government, oftentimes Wall Street, people that are simply extracting a toll. They're not producing or creating any value within the society. So yeah, no, it's definitely happening.
My name's Jimmy. In the future, you better be creating value or you're out. Me, I'm going to space station number 5 with Montrose right here on Revolution Radio. Hold on. Ronnie. Get back over there in the green room, man. Man, Ronnie gets a chance to step on stage. Let me tell you something. He's going to rip every single time. Now, he was, another Bay Area musician. I think I've played a bunch of Bay Area musicians this night right here on Revolution Radio, all by accidente. my friends. But what are you going to do? You know, let me tell you something. 120 minutes, no commercial free, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. It's the brick house, man, that the Nighthawk built. And you get to hear it all here, right here, in between, like bookends. The top of the hour to the, just to the top of the hour. There's no commercials. You know why? Because we're fully self-supported through the generous contributions made by the listeners. We've kept Revolution Radio high up in the esteem bracket throughout the alternative media. When the industrial truth complex wants to find out what's really going on, they come and listen to Revolution Radio. So the Rent Man will be showing up sometime in the next few days. I don't know if we got a leniency period or not, if we get a grace period. I don't know. I saw him out back earlier today sniffing around. So if you got a few bones, throw them in the guitar case on the way out. We appreciate it. So technology taking over, people building floating cities outside the 17-mile zone. What do you think about that? That's also actually kind of cool, right? I mean, then if you were of this quote-unquote community or that community, you could just have your whole own country somewhere and just go live there. And, you know, I mean, just pick your country who has a, you know, some these corporations, they'll just, you know, set it up. You go out there, great food, you know, it's kind of like a cruise ship, only better. You know, you live there, and, you know, they can move it around. You know, you got the gardens growing in there. Everybody's growing your own food. There's these, I mean, I could show you these concept videos of some of these that are just really, it's mind-blowing. These little hovercrafts that float up onto these legs of these giant, you know, platforms that come up out of these tubes that you just float up to the tube and then you just go up into the platform. I mean, it's sweet, man. Seriously. Future could be bright, man. I don't know. You know, I don't see why it's got to be bad. But apparently we're going to have to go that route. I don't know. Maybe, you know, who knows? Maybe somebody will grab hold of the reins. You know, I don't know. Lots of people think maybe that guy's at the helm of the of the United States right now, but you know, I don't know. Who knows what will happen in the future? The shadow knows. That's who. That's right. So there's this, you can find these on the internet. I would highly recommend, it's called the Sugar Shack Sessions. And it's a super cool club down in Florida somewhere where they're doing live recordings. It's a lot if you like reggae, when you like, you know, that type of music. They are doing really great shows and down there, and the recordings are absolutely impeccable. Bands, you know, like Fortunate Youth, Natalie Rise, bunch of really great bands. Yeah, so these California fires, it looks like they got a video up on YouTube showing the mappings of the fires and this and that. 670 people watching. So, I don't know. Fires are intense in California right now. So I don't think I want to go there because it's a little too intense. And we're just kicking it old school right here, right now on Revolution Radio. We're knee deep in it. Oh my God. You know what? Let's just take a visit back to the Bay. Let's just call this a Bay Area extravaganza. You know, let's get back to the Bay Area once again. You know, somebody that, I mean, a lot of people don't like. A lot of people hate this band. Lots of people hate this band, but lots of people love this band as well. I don't know. Why don't you think the people that love this band are really attracted to the frequencies that are put forward by the music? California. Straight out of Santa Cruz, California. My name's Jimmy. You're tapped into the Truth Frequency Radio. House Mouse, don't you undermine me, boy, or I'll choke you like a... Oh, excuse me. Anyways, yeah, so we're right here at Revolution Radio. It's 8:30 p.m. on the 24th of October, 2019. And, you know, Revolution Radio is still here after all these years. That's right. The wind blows, the house stood. The house the Nighthawk built, still standing. Throw down if you got time. Help us pull some weeds out in the yard. Pass it around. Let everybody know we have a party going on over here. If you want to hear about it, step on up to the platform, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be scared. It's only a little information. That's right. I always get in trouble, man. A man without a plan, it's like a ship without a course. Only fate is disaster, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you something. Sometimes when you put your small boat into the giant sea, your little boat, it bounces around. If you don't have if you don't have a course, you're just floating around willy-nilly out in the sea. You got to have a point A, point B, and you got to know where that point of no return is. Once you're too far to go, you've gone too far to come back. Because, you know, the doubt that you face when you venture out alone in your tiny little craft in that giant swallowing ocean, swallowing stuff up all over the place, crashing, banging. Just imagine it, 40-foot wave swells where you just you're all by yourself. Man, can you imagine it? Imagine it, like, you know, and we take it for granted, like, you know, oh, everybody's got sailboats. Man, imagine how it was back in the day when you would have to build out your old boat and then trust the fact that your idea about your boat was good enough for that to make it through those dangerous seas, you know, through the sea serpents and all that, the giant whales, the Moby Dicks all over the, you know, sea, thrashing and swallowing people whole. The great white whale, you know. Have you ever seen that thing where, you know how people say there's all these, there's a Bible code and all this? Have you ever seen where the dude took the Moby Dick and he takes Moby Dick and he puts it all in, in consecutive order in such a way that he can read it like a Bible code and it's just as accurate as the Bible code? It's funny, man. People got some time on their hands, right? I mean, who would think that up? Whoever it was, he's got a sense of humor. My name's Jimmy, and sense of humor is important, especially in light of some of this information and the way the world seems to be going. I mean, I don't know, man. If we can all just do our best to just do our best every day. I mean, for the most part, consciousness isn't some attainment. It's not like consciousness is not the same as illumination or whatever. You know what I mean? Consciousness is being conscious of yourself and how and what you're doing and how you're being, and being conscious of that and being in control of yourself and and what you're doing. That's being conscious of yourself. Self-awareness, that's what that is. When you're aware of yourself and you know what's right and what's wrong, then there's no excuse why we can't all just be the best people we can be. And if we're all being the best we can be, and we're talking about the golden rule, you know what I'm saying? If you do for others like you want someone to do for you, give your wife that foot massage or give your husband that foot massage or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You want to have a foot massage, give somebody one and see if you get one back. You might, or you might get something even better. Who knows? It's like playing it forward or whatever. You know what I mean? My name's Jimmy. I'm playing it forward right here on Revolution Radio. We only got about 20 minutes roughly left of the show, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you something. You found the right place. If you're into creative, thoughtful presentations of a diverse cornucopia of tasty morsels, shows that cannot be found anywhere except right here on Revolution Radio. There's so many pieces of music that you can't play. If you play it, be in trouble on YouTube. They will ban you worldwide faster than you can shake a stick at it. That's why I'm careful. I'm very careful. So, there's certain bands you don't ever want to play. Like, for example, you never want to play the Eagles. Like, if you play the Eagles, if you got a live show going on YouTube, you play the Eagles 7 Bridges Road, you're out. Banned worldwide. You play any Beatles? Banned worldwide. Play any AC/DC? Banned worldwide. Item cannot be seen or heard. Which is so, when you think about it, it's funny. It can't be seen or heard. Man, seriously, who's playing this piece of crap? Who's playing this song no one's even heard in 40 years? They should be lucky you're promoting it. They should be feeling good, and they should say, damn, they should be paying you to do it. You know what I mean? They should be giving you money for playing the song. You should turn it around on them. You know what I mean? Because, seriously, when was the last time you heard Ronnie Montrose? A long time ago, right? Well, maybe when you heard that, you're like, damn, Paper Money was a great album. I think I'm going to go get that CD. Boom. See what I mean? Now, why you want to knock a brother down for, throwing the music out there, making people remember it? See what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's all spun around. It's crazy. The world has gone completely out of control. Yeah, play some Neil Young. Play some, on YouTube. Go ahead and play some Crazy Horse on there, on YouTube, and see what happens. Banned worldwide. That's right. Certain people, certain They don't like their stuff being seen or heard. It's like, what are they doing? Are they saving it? They think they're gonna make some big money on it. They're gonna make some big dough on the on that song by keeping it all quiet, by not letting anybody use it for anything. I mean, what's the point of it? I don't get it. I don't get the whole. It's backwards. It's all crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, the world has gone completely insane. It's 180 degrees out. Everything's 180 degrees out from the way it used to be. It really is. There's no doubt. There's no question. And there's no doubt or question that I'm not going to let that happen. But what I am going to do is I'm going to throw down with some Sugar Shack sessions, because this band right here, Fortunate Youth, is great. And this song right here is called Burn One. It's 420 somewhere. I dropped the link for that in the chat. You guys definitely go check out some of the musicians over there at the Sugar Shack sessions. It is live, and it's kick-ass, man. All acoustic. Engineering sounds fantastic. Highly recommend it. That's one of them right there. And there's a bunch of great songs over there. That's not the Bay Area, though. Most of what we've been talking about tonight is the Bay Area. So, I mean, you can look through. I mean, there were some days when the music scene was super powerful here out of the Bay Area. Most of the bands, it was before the Seattle scene. You know what I mean? Seattle basically took over for a while. From the, you know, being the generator, it went to the north of San Francisco. You know, and you got into the more depressive, heavy, sort of heroin, slow sound, you know, the grind, you know, all those great bands. Mudhoney, Soundgarden. They were good bands, but so the 80s, though, there was a thing called BAM, Bay Area Musician. It was a magazine that had this thing called the BAMmies every year. It was like a big, you know, Bay Area Music Awards show, and man, it was a big thing. And Bill Graham was the biggest concert promoter here, and we're getting ready to do some work on Bill Graham on the Into the Microcosm show on Friday and Saturday, or it's not on Saturday anymore, but on Friday nights right here on Revolution Radio. But no, I love George Benson. Yeah, that album, Breezin'. You know what I'm saying? Breezin'. That was a good album. I think it was called Breezin'. But that was a good album. I dig how he scats along with his guitar playing. Yeah, you know what? I think we'll go out with some George Benson at the break. Some of that, we'll go out with some Masquerade, man. Remember that? That was a good one, man. Masquerade. My name's Jimmy. Ain't no masquerading going on around here. We are live. We are dangerous. We are Revolution Radio, and you're knee deep in it. And I'm going to be here hanging with you for the next 11 minutes. Man, you know, you can't yeah, it was called Reason. Yeah, listen, you can't dial it in fast enough with George Benson. Man, I'll tell you that. He was good. I mean, there's a lot of bands from that era that were good. That whole album, man, remember Boss Skaggs? That whole album, Silk Degrees. See, that was an album right there. See, that's the thing is, like, these old musicians that sat around with guitars in their hands and playing songs and, you know, working it out and creating these songs, they would come out with these groups of pieces of music that they all put out together, you know, that they wrote. And that's the difference between what it is now, where it's just basically, you know, they've taken out all the people out of it, and you can basically be a one-man band at this point. You know, there's plenty of people doing it on the internet, you know, as far as being able to use effects and whatnot to be able to, you know, loop and this and that. But the thing is like, you know, dudes used to sit around for hours and hours and hours and hours getting it straight. I know I did. You know, I was in a heavy metal act in the 80s in the Bay Area. I played some big shows. Lots of big people rolling around. Here's some Josh Heinrichs. And this is from the Mo Boogie Loft. And this is Josh Heinrichs. Highly recommend. Most of his records are great. I've heard most of them. I can't vouch for all of them, but I'll just say most of what I've heard is absolutely fantastic. Mo Boogie Lounge acoustic. Here comes some Josh Heinrichs, about 60 seconds of Satisfied.
Doesn't matter to me, you know, 'cause I need you, girl. You know I need you right here with me, 'cause life is hard enough. Oh, you know, with the letdowns and the sadness every day. You know, but with you by my side, it's getting better in every way. So baby, you're so satisfied. Oh, you know, oh, with you in my life. Baby, you're so satisfied, you know, girl. Oh, with you in my life. So baby, you send me right where I wanna be. Oh.
Oh, yeah. That is Josh Heinrichs, boy. That's hard to turn that off, I'll tell you right now. As soon as I get off the air, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the green room there and jump into the mosh pit while Josh Heinrichs plays his way out for the evening. And I make my way out the door. I'm getting ready to. But you know what? Before we do, we're definitely going to get into some Masquerade by George Benson going out. But stay tuned right after this impromptu drop-in pirate radio style. You got the round table coming up. The neon knights of the round table will be swashbuckling it out. Who knows what they're going to be talking about. Somebody's going to throw some red meat out on the table. And next thing you know, you're going to hear snarling, and you're going to hear claws, and you're going to hear ripping. Everything's just tearing people to shreds. It's going on right here at the round table. So don't stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Revolution Radio is running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Shows coming out of your ears. There's so many great shows. What can you do? Well, you can tune in, and secondly, you become a member. And when you become a member, you know what that means? That's right. Members get privileges. Not like the slaves over there. You're over here, you get privileges over at Revolution Radio. When you step up to the plate and join the club, boom, you become a member. Then what? Well, now it's all about them privileges, ladies and gentlemen. So step on up, freedomslips.com. Do yourself a favor. Throw down so we don't have to worry about the rent man coming. The sneaky bastard that he is. Like I said, I saw him out yesterday sniffing around, looking for something. I don't know what he was looking for. But hopefully he found it. My name is Jimmy, and you have found it. Revolution Radio. And not sure who stepped off today, but whoever was here and whoever's supposed to be here, they'll be back when they get here. But for now, it's just me and you and all these thousands of listeners out here on TuneIn. Hey, somebody go to TuneIn and see where we stand. See, we're going head to head right now with Clyde Lewis on his national hours. I'd be listening right now if I wasn't on the air or calling in there. I've been on there twice. I might have Ron on my show, which is his producer. He's been a buddy of mine for a couple of years. So Clyde was going to come on my show, and the day that he was supposed to come on, it was him, Ron, and Dr. Richard Allen Miller. They were all in the same car. And Richard Allen Miller was going to be on my show, and so they were all going to call in and be on the show. And we had technical difficulties, and we couldn't. It didn't happen. Of course, subsequently, I had gotten Dr. Miller on my show, and I've, been on with Ron a couple times. But Clyde never made it back to my show. That was the one and only time. Even though he was on, there were certain things going on, and he got to be on a couple of other shows, but I wasn't on at the time. But I helped put it together. It was during like the Bilderberg meeting, and this cat was going to be on there. Hey, this is Little Barry checking out Pauline. Pauline, you're the unforgotten dream, the one who cancels out a scene. That's pretty cool, man. Little Barry. Yeah, I see George Benson. He's over in the green room right now. He's got some dried salami in one hand. He's got the bong in the other hand. Is that a bong? Oh, no, wait a minute. That's a Heineken. Never mind. I don't think George smokes the weed. But if he did, I wouldn't hold it against him, because he is one smooth, soulful brother. And 1976 was a good year. I was 16 years old, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you something. That was a good year. careful. We can't play too much, and we're getting ready to leave. So I'm really stoked. Thank you so much for being here. Stick around. Like I said, the Knights of the Round Table are going to be up next, and they're going to be swashbuckling it out pirate style right here on Revolution Radio. And don't forget, stop over to freedomslips.com, make a donation if you can. And if you can't, share the station and see what's going on. We'll talk to you soon. I'll see you tomorrow night, 11 o'clock, right here. In the meantime, here's the rest of my 70 seconds.
Are we really happy here with this lonely game we play? Looking for words to say, searching but not finding understanding anywhere. Lost in a masquerade, both afraid to say we're just too far away.
All right, YouTube. See you later, alligator.